Dead Island is a video game series with a mixed bag at this point. From fans loving the OG game to people despising what they did with the zombie apocalypse video games. Today I want to talk about my experience with Dead Island as a whole and answer the question of if the games were good or bad to me. Dead Island had a global release date of September 9th, 2011. I had just turned 11 years old that July, and I stumbled across my cousin playing a survival game. I don't even know what to call it at the time. I don't even know how my cousin pitched the game to me, but I was pretty much already sold. All I needed to see was him killing zombies and gore flying everywhere. And he also told me it was a co-op story where you get to pick characters. There I was, playing a co-op zombie game with my brother, who at the time was arguably more hyped than I was. I mean, looking back at the memories we share, the game felt perfect. The story was unique at the time, the gameplay felt fresh, the gore was a shock factor to us, the enemy types were engaging and made us pay attention. It had plenty of side quests to make our lives easier for the main quest, and it had trading with almost every survivor group you can encounter. I mean, there were a lot of features for me to experience for the first time in any of the games I've ever played at this age. The gameplay felt rewarding. It felt heavy hitting. The gore mechanics gave emphasis to how you dealt with a zombie, how you dismember and maim a zombie, and the game had no shortage of ketchup. And there was really shocking scenes and implications of pain and suffering throughout the entirety of the story. The setting itself was a gorgeous tourist attraction full of sandy beaches and a lot of vegetation. It was truly stunning, and the roster of characters were nice and diverse. It was really a fun experience playing with multiple people at a time. I mean, all of us having to find and scrap parts to trade each other, to upgrade a weapon, to deal electric damage to a nailed baseball bat was kind of a unique feeling. On top of all that, there were 4 unique characters that each player could take control of, all with unique and distinct backgrounds and skills. And I mean, to this day, you can still play Dead Island. I played it not that long ago, and I still love it for the atmosphere and the one-of-a-kind feeling it brings to the zombie genre. Obviously, no game is perfect, and I'm sure if you've played the game recently with a fresh set of lenses, you can tell that there are bugs everywhere. And while I made videos before about bugs, the bugs themselves are not what ruined the game, at least for me. So, you'll be driving an invisible car or two. No biggie, at least it runs. Dead Island Riptide is the next installment in the Dead Island franchise, and to me, it did everything the original did and amplified it. Slightly different setting with labs and dense jungles, cabins, and another map surrounded by a body of water. The story continued in Riptide with the same friendly faces in the universe that was expanded upon, adding more insight as to what could have happened to cause the outbreaks, and the gameplay even improved. Dead Island 1 brought a plethora of weapons, both melee and range, into the zombie killing equation, but Riptide brought in more, and to be honest, more of everything. More enemies, more weapons, more quests, more skills, more content, and the gameplay felt less repetitive because of it. So out of the two, I obviously remember the original Dead Island more. Partly because my memory's ass, and because I was 13. So those games were, as the youth say, built different. Jumping forward to 2015, Dead Island 2 was just announced, and coming off of the hype that other games have generated, at least in my bubble, I was so ready to get my hands on it. And then Dead Island 2 got scrapped, and for a long time. I mean, it was announced in 2015, and we finally got it in 2023, almost a decade later. So after the hype died down for years, and a whole year later and some change of the game actually being out, and in the back burner of my priorities for the longest time, I saw it go on sale and I bought it. Actually, 3 of us did, and we purchased it assuming the game was going to have the same co-op experience as the original Dead Island or Riptide would. But we were mistaken. And I don't know if this is a PC thing, and I can't speak on console and how the connection worked or is working, but on PC, no matter where you buy it, in our case, on Steam, you have to be connected to the Epic Game server, and let me tell you that the very first launch of the game, the servers were unavailable. Trying to connect was a disaster. Half of the time, we just weren't synced to each other's games. We would drop in and out at random from each other's games, but eventually we found out we had to limit the game's FPS to 60 to quell the desync, and that's kind of outrageous. The lag is insane, and to my friend Ryan's word, downright unplayable.
Still says not your number.
God damn it. The zombies would be on the ground, you'd be getting hit by invisible objects just at any given point in time. Obviously, I played hosting the servers, so I didn't have those issues, but the desync and the lag was off the charts. I mean, truly, I don't know how companies ruin games so efficiently nowadays. But that's besides the point. Out of the new cast of characters, we picked 3. Obviously, all of them being different, and they were decently fleshed out. I went with the big nervous firefighter named Ryan, not on purpose, and the bunch were okay. Nothing that stood out to me in a positive or negative light. They were all just decent. So the story starts and you awake to a plane crash in the middle of a zombie outbreak. Again, not the plane part, just the zombie outbreak. But yeah, you go through the motions of the tutorial, and there's some not so funny moments, and to be honest, that's pretty much the sum of my emotions for the writing as a whole. Sure, Dead Island 1 and Riptide had no Oscar level dialogue, but everything was written to feel natural, at least to me. In Dead Island 2, behind every visually outstanding event, there is a cheap and unfunny joke waiting to be told. And they come across as corny and at times awkward just for the purpose of being awkward and clumsy. And it kind of ruins the okay gameplay filled with connection issues. I mean, the gameplay is there. It's the same as Dead Island 1, so that's fun. And it's been almost a decade since I played the last one, so it kind of feels new. But then also, along the time, I had forgotten how Dead Island felt. Other great zombie games have came out, like Dying Light, for example, which is no coincidence is being made by the same developers that gave us the original Dead Island. But I mean, the company who made Dead Island 2, they went from gritty to corny. A complete 180, not only for the series, but the devs as well. They did have some nostalgia moments. Sam B made a return. In my opinion, it didn't do him any favors to his writing, but it is cool seeing him where he's originally from and where he was before departing to perform music. But the character isn't the same as I remember, neither is the game. The only saving grace that this game really had was that it was on discount. No real new enemies were found other than the ones that they already had, with a reskin of elemental damage added to them. And personally, the LA satire only made it worse. At least I hope it was satire. But yeah, the game I got on sale, I wouldn't recommend getting it otherwise. I paid $30 for it, and playing it now, maybe I would have paid $20. And yes, give me my $10 back. Dead Island up to this point has made leaps into its storytelling and gameplay from one game to another, and it's obvious to see its improvements. Obviously, a change in its development team also means a change in its quality, direction, and vision. Maybe the game could have came out in a completely different way if the same developer stayed on the game. The question I asked myself at the start of this video was, is the series good? And to that, I have to say, it was. While the gameplay and technology definitely progressed, none of the other things that mattered to me did. And in fact, they went the opposite direction, towards generic, stale, and definitely cringeworthy. And maybe the better question is, should I pick up Dying Light? In conclusion, that's my experience with the self-destruction of Dead Island's legacy. I hope you guys enjoyed. I wish we could have seen an alternate timeline where the original devs made a fantastic game. And I'm sure there will be a Dead Island 3 around the line. But I'm probably not playing that. If I do, it'll only be to cover it for you guys. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Peace.
That go bump in the night. Whoa, who do you voodoo, bitch? Hide your kids, grab your wife, better get out of sight. Who do you voodoo, bitch? Let's go. Sam B to Papa Shango, I'm Barrett Samedi. Handful of fingers.